I don't know what to say. Really. It all comes down to today. Now either we heal as a mug club, or we crumble. We're in progressive hell right now, gentlemen. Believe me. And we can stand around and get the shit kicked out of us, or we can claw our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. No, I can't do it for you. I'm too old. I mean, I look at all these young mug clubbers' faces, and I think I made every wrong choice a late 20s, early 30-year-old guy could make. I pissed off all the social media giants. I pushed away every Hollywood agent who's ever represented me. You know, when you come out as a conservative, things get taken from you. I mean, that's a part of life. But you only learn that part when people start calling you a Nazi. And you find out that life is a game of inches. And so's Mug Club. They're trying to shut us down. The inches we need are everywhere around this Mug Club. Hell yeah. And this Mug Club, we fight for that inch. In this Mug Club, we tear ourselves to pieces, throw ourselves at super videos, we change minds, and we even make jokes for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those Mug Club ballots and all those minds change, that's gonna mean the fucking difference between winning or losing. And either we vote now as one Mug Club, or we get banned. That's individual. That's Mug Club, guys. That's all it is. Now, what are you gonna do? Join Mug Club today, or die as individuals.
Yeah. I was just chewing. I see probably like a cat with a hairball right before the other. You ever chew gum? Comment below. This is serious stuff. You ever chew gum and then chew it into a paste?
Oh yeah.
Where it's almost like it almost is like a spitball.
Oh, okay.
But I wasn't chewing it that long.
But it just happens all of a sudden. You'll be chewing it, and then you'll just all of a sudden, whoa, what is in my mouth?
Paper mache? So,
that's the rapper, Stephen.
That would be a good name.
It did sound a little weird.
Yeah, it would be. But it would be like paper mache tea. Because it has to be violent.
I don't know.
Okay. I was going to say, why is it but it's because we have a half Asian person here, so it sounds a little roomier because we have more microphones here. All right, look, we usually don't broadcast here on YouTube and Rumble on Friday, but we do every Friday on Mug Club. Just for people who don't know, if you're not a member yet, it is a weekday show, 10 a.m. Eastern, no matter what. But because there's been so much fallout and quite a few follow-ups on yesterday's story regarding the DOJ and corruption therein, we certainly feel as though you are entitled to it. I hate that word entitlement. It's been ruined. But this is a live show, and so if at some point today, if you're watching on YouTube, especially considering what we are covering and what has happened on social media since yesterday, if at some point you see this, head on over to Rumble. All right.
Because we could have been banned.
Yes.
We set that up for banned.
We're going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about Facebook, Meta, censoring the story from yesterday. Major announcement that is going to be taking place while we are live on air. This was announced yesterday at 10 p.m., as I understand it, on a newswire, that Merchant is going to be making a statement today as to whether the sentencing will be pushed to sometime after the election, perhaps. There was no notice before 10 p.m. last night, so I don't exactly know what's going on there. And we'll be talking about, also Donald Trump has a press conference today in New York, in the state of New York, of all places, at noon.
Who knows what he's going to talk about?
Seems like the wheels are in motion. Captain Morgan, number 2 CEO, how are you?
I am very, very good. How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm well.
Very well.
Yeah? Good. Okay. And then we have, of course, we have Josh Firestine here. When you hear this, I don't know if we have...
Firestine?
Made him Jewish. I was thinking mean green.
Bill likes
Josh
it.
Firestine.
Yeah.
Mean Gene Firestine. We got that's it rhymes better that way,
Yes.
but it sounds more Jewish. And
Friday, September 20th at Film Alley in Terrell, Texas. And then
Terrell.
Terrell.
Whatever.
Hey, it's Terrell, Texas.
I want to get to Bill de Blasio eating pizza.
Fine, go
but
for it.
and we
shower?
have here
Bill's
because he
here,
was here
whatever.
yesterday and backed by popular demand with his own theme song.
No, he's not.
No less.
Bill Richmond, this is
Oh, that's gangster.
There you go. He's a co-host of Hardly Legal, the podcast, available on YouTube and wherever. I'm just surprised that you
kinds of
thought Barely
places.
Legal, which I gave you, was too adult, and then he went with Hardly Legal. How are
You know, Barely Legal was your thing, and Hardly Legal.
What is it? It's hard and legal?
It's hard and legal. No,
And legal.
Hardly Legal. Hardly Legal.
Name of a firm.
Porn
Yeah,
name.
yeah. It's a fun stuff. Check it out.
Most important, though, by the way, before anything else, of course, we talked about this earlier this week, but Brian Stelter is back at CNN.
Return of the fact. He's gay. Was sides, now was back. He ain't straight. Return of the fact. Oh my God. Return of the slack.
He should get longer shirts. He really should.
It's like an actor, where you do one film for you, then one film for the masses. That one's for me.
That one's definitely.
I don't know if
but
I'll ever
everybody
stop
else-
laughing at that.
I know. Yeah, we like it.
We are all children. Before we go on to the fallout here and what's been happening, and we appreciate your support, of course, Mug Club, in sharing the story and reaching the many tens of millions of people who it has reached. Before, of course, Big Tech decided to try and clamp down on it. Not Rumble, not X, thank you. Before all that, here is former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio eating pizza.
What the hell? Is that rice?
Oh,
Jeez, respect the cheese,
I
man.
think in New York they call that snow.
It's a bag of dandruff.
Oh, my God.
What is...
I heard that's a New York thing. You go backwards.
No, it's not.
All right.
If you like it in the back, that's what you do.
So, what we know now is Bill de Blasio's gay.
He's a homo.
Prison nickname is Stuffed Crust.
I thought it was deep dish.
Deep dish. Well, you got it from Pizza Cuck.
Oh, I thought it was meat lovers.
Yeah, it could be meat lovers. Well, better ingredients, better cock, Papa John's. So,
His favorite topping is Italian sausage. And he's got pepperoni nipples.
this is the guy who ate a pizza with a knife and fork in 2014. They're just like you.
I really dig into that thing.
The only time, remember when Ringo Starr was trying to convince us with stuffed crust pizza?
Yeah.
And
You
like,
eat your
no,
crust
you can eat your pizza crust first.
Like,
no.
No, why would you do that? You saved that for last.
I get it. It's still better, perhaps, to the uninitiated than a normal crust, but it is not better than the rest of the pizza.
What happens when you get halfway through the pizza? You got nothing to hold on to now.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
screwed.
Yeah.
Oh, then you go in for the tossed salad. You need a partner for that.
There's nothing left to hold
It's a
on.
team sport.
Nothing left to hold on. Just like Ringo Starr with his lyrics. He had Yellow Submarine, and he had Octopus's Garden. You get rid of the aquatic theme, he can't write.
What do I do on land? Yeah.
My only regret is that Bobby Darin was the one who did Mac the Knife. Because it's about a shark.
I don't know what that song is. I don't
No,
know.
wait. I'm thinking about the animatronic shark at KB Toys. They changed it to a shark song.
All right.
He's actually suing for the rights of Baby Shark.
Yeah, he is right now.
Hey!
That was me.
That was my idea long before.
Doot, 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 doot.
No, it's stuck in the head.
What a
Get out of
I
here.
guarantee you their recording sessions are like,
Ringo, you and your aquatic themes. Not everything's going to be nautical.
More. They tease him.
Hey, guys. Let's stop fighting about the past. You're going backwards. You know what can't go backwards? Sharks.
They just tease him before a show. They go, "Hey Ringo, here's a life jacket. Go crowd surfing."
Oh, it's like last time when you threw me a Bowie.
all right. Sorry. For those who are tuning in, we always have new viewers who are tuning in because of the investigative journalism that you saw yesterday. And that's equally important. But this is a comedy show, and we are children. Good thing we make the references publicly available so you know when it's a joke and when it's not. But hey, who really cares at this point? So, a lot happened yesterday. For those who didn't see this, and we appreciate you continuing to share this, by the way, because it has reached people who don't want to cover this, and they've been forced to cover it. So that's always a lot of fun. But for those who haven't seen it, here's a short clip. Again, just sort of reintroducing to you this undercover journalism from Club Undercover. They've done a fantastic job that showed a DOJ official who all but admitted that, of course, the prosecution of Donald Trump, it's all been a political witch hunt, and it's lawfare.
They're just out to get him. And that's why, like, the surging of the public it's a perversion of justice. He was stacking charges and, rearranging things just to make it fit a case. No, to be honest with you, I think the case is nonsense.
And before I get into the fallout, some of which is kind of terrifying, this is the importance not only of you, but this is where what used to be called new media is important. You can circumvent those in power. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, none of them. They never would have covered this before, but you can make sure that people see the truth. And now that is applied pressure where even places like the New York Post and CNN were forced to cover it.
I like the word. So I think New York Post chose CNN forced. Write it, CNN.
Yes. Yeah. Donald Trump telling them, write it, love it, feel it. So it reached tens of millions of people, and it was covered, but it was immediately throttled by big tech, by those in power. Before we get to that, the Southern District of New York, the chief of public affairs, Nicholas Biase, who we talked about, he actually did give a statement, a follow-up, which was unfortunately a cop-out. But again, in the video, he laid it out. The Democrats are out to get Trump. He says this. He has firsthand knowledge of this. The case is nonsense. It's a complete perversion of justice, a mockery of justice, to use his words. Everyone in the Southern District of New York knows it, and that the Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, brought the manipulated charges basically to just try and, chase some fame and make a name for himself. So New York Post covers it, and then this guy, who we said was not the villain in this story, to be clear. He was saying what we knew to be true, unfortunately only saying it privately. He tried to cover and made it so much worse. He said, I was recently made aware of a video where I regretfully made some statements in a private and social setting that don't reflect my views about 2 local and state prosecutions. I said these things in an effort to please and impress someone I just met who was secretly filming me. I'm deeply sorry to the local and state law enforcement officials working on these matters who deserve more respect than I showed them. I should have known better. He also went on to say, them titties, though. Which is not becoming for one of the most important courts of the land.
The guy's speaking truth across the board, right? Both the first statement and the last statement, all right? He's consistent. We appreciate it, even if in a private and social setting. But look, this guy's an insider. He knows how the trial system works. He worked with Bragg, right?
Yes.
So,
it's just also, it's like I was saying this to impress a lady. Yeah, because you know what really makes them drop their drawers? Corruption at the DOJ.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Give me more.
Dialogue about political persecution. That'll drop her panties.
Hey, let me tell you about lawfare.
Let me say it over multiple dates. Yes. Same thing again and again. Great.
So, by the way, another potential fallout from this, like we said, the judge in Trump's New York money, the hush money case, in New York, they decided to move things along more quickly, was released at 10 p.m. last night. So we will actually be bringing you that update as it transpires to date, which brings us to our latest installment of Curious Coincidences. the stinger's longer than the coincidence. So originally the sentencing was scheduled for September 18th.
Right.
And this judge is going to decide on Trump's immunity, which would relate to throwing out the case on September 16th. There was no notice of what is taking place today, but it was announced yesterday. The story goes out regarding the DOJ. All of these cases being politically motivated by someone who was an insider who's since tried to recant because he was impressing a lady by talking about lawfare at the DOJ. 10 p.m. last night, out of the blue, that's when Judge Merchant announces that he's moving up his decision on whether to postpone the sentencing this morning. Here's the thing. It could go either way, where they may want to get away from this and they may just want to punt it to after the election so that you don't stay on top of it and no one cares about the political witch hunt. Or they may want to try and double down and say, no, we're going to move this up because all of this is fake news. It really could go either way. I guarantee they've had a meeting with a publicist. And I should also mention that yesterday, Judge Merchant was sued over not releasing his financials. So, well, it's because, his daughter-in-law is helping the Kamala Biden campaign. Or it's actually not his daughter-in-law, just his daughter.
I think it's just his daughter.
Just
his daughter.
In law and in blood.
And that could be a conflict of interest, correct, Bill?
It could. So that's an important aspect of it that folks it's really flown under the radar is the potential conflict of a direct family member, blood, helping someone who has a very deep political interest in going after a political opponent. But remember, there's one thing that's important here. This was a DOJ spokesman talking about the state department. So the local district attorney's office, the DOJ being the premier, federal court, and the Southern District of New York being the number one trial court.
Yeah.
They know how the trial system works, and they were talking about Alvin Bragg in the Manhattan DA's office about the bad motivations in going after the case. So
yeah,
it really is like you could almost not get any more closer to the action on someone who knows what's going on and goes into it.
Yeah.
And saying, this was bad. This was brought for bad reasons.
Yeah, someone who is a sitting judge, whose daughter directly may be helping or is helping the Kamala Biden campaign, Kamala Walls campaign, whatever it is at this point, I guess.
Kamala Walls sounds like a theme park.
Yes, it does. But they haven't updated in a while. That almost could be seen as politically motivated. Lawfare, perhaps a perversion of justice.
Perverts.
We'll call that as we see it, as it comes out a little bit later. I believe in half an hour today is when that statement should be released.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to do the whataboutism thing, but I do feel like this is a good point to highlight the left basically saying that Supreme Court justices and other judges around the country should recuse themselves from trials. I think the Florida judge actually said she should recuse herself because Donald Trump appointed her. Right. I was like, okay, so all the judges that have been appointed by this person are just in the bag for this person now? That's not how judicial system is supposed to work.
Yeah, they want Clarence Thomas to be thrown out because he accepted some Sherry's berries or whatever the hell it is.
Blew a flag.
And in this case, the judge's daughter is working directly for a political opponent, but it's turn a blind eye.
He's a bad dad. They don't talk much.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's no predicate crime, looking and Bill, for all of us looking over here, when he said basically in his jury instructions, like you have to find him guilty of an underlying crime. It could be one of these 4 or 5 different things, but you guys don't all have to agree on what one crime he actually committed. Is that as crazy to you as it is to just the layperson?
It's crazy, and it's the worst part is this wasn't like a last minute thing where folks were like, oh wow, this mistake happened at the last minute. People have been highlighting this issue because the jury instructions don't just magically appear right at the last minute. It's all secret. You have to submit them, you have to argue over them. So the Senate Judiciary Committee has highlighted this issue about how the lack of an underlying specific crime, and just saying, well, if 92 of you, I mean, there's only not 92 on a jury, but 92 of you vote once on 92 different crimes, we're going to put them all together and call them one crime.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense at a smell test, even if you're not in the law. Those in the law know that this is absolutely not the way it's supposed to be, which is frankly just consistent with the entire prosecution at the state level.
It's almost like it's a perversion of justice.
A perversion of justice. That theme seems to continue. And also nonsense. I like that word too.
Yeah, nonsense.
Nonsense. All of this is nonsense. But isn't that probably going to be grounds for it to be overturned?
It's going to be
at least appealed, obviously.
It's going to be one of the biggest arguments on the appellate level because the jury instructions is important. It's the questions you ask the jury and have them decide the case. So it has to track the law. It's one of the most contested issues in a jury trial is asking the right question. For those who are all on, ChatGPT, it's asking the right prompt. If you're not going to ask the right prompt, you're not going to get the right answer. So if you're deliberately manipulating the question to make it as easy as possible, regardless of the law, you know the result you're trying to get.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So these two things in conjunction, it's like, okay, well, just those two things. Daughter working there, that jury instruction.
Yeah,
this is a sham.
And then, of course, you have the chief spokesperson, officer there, Biase of the Southern District of New York, Nicholas, saying it is. That's what it is. These people want to make a name for themselves. They're trying to stack different. This is unprecedented. It's nonsense. It's a mockery. It's a perversion of justice. And before we go to the big tech throttling, which this is Hunter Biden, the laptop all over again. Spoiler alert. And this is kind of the scary part. So we've had our fun. Look, Biase could have made this easy on himself. He could have just said, look, hey, is that my opinion? Yeah. Did I express it in a private setting? Yeah, I did, because I think maybe it would be unprofessional of me to express that opinion, in my place of work. But if you're asking me if I believe that, yeah, I do. But instead, he had to walk it back and please kill me last, figuratively. I'm talking about a toad.
There was a moment there for him to say not only what you said, which would have been an acceptable answer, but damn right I believe that. Yeah. Guess what? So does everybody else. This is a sham, and it's finally time to kind of pull back the curtain, and everybody needs to see this for what it is. We're not going to remain silent any longer. Right. They're going after this guy. He had a chance to be a hero. Yep. That moment does not come in life very often, if at all, and he passed it by to make sure that he could keep some semblance of his job and life together instead of doing the right thing.
And again, we'll talk about this. We have one dropping every week as far as Club Undercover, and you know that we don't take these lightly. There's some people these subjects who you feel bad for, and you plead with them. You go, look, please, if you could do this all again, would you just do it differently? When you look at some of the consequences, the stealing of a nation, and then you realize unless these people feel some kind of a sting, they'll continue, and the worst part is you don't know until they're caught.
Yeah.
So these are going to be coming up. If the media wants to continue saying, this is out of context, go ahead, please. We welcomed it last week, and we welcome it every week moving forward. This is also why, and this ties into what, of course, I think is most important as it relates to the election and stealing a nation. This was released yesterday. Okay, the DOJ story. Then Facebook Meta immediately decided to censor the Rumble link, citing a violation of community standards. So when you were trying to post or share the story at all, people were getting messages like this. It says, it looks like you tried to gather sensitive information from others. We can't review this website because the content doesn't meet our community standards. We can't review this. To be clear, all other Rumble links were allowed on Facebook. So that's the website, right? The website is Rumble. It's already been verified. But what they mean is this one URL on the Rumble, this one URL here, this video that is going viral right now, we can't review it. And so it doesn't match our community standards. And that's a language that they use very often. It's very opaque. It's broad. It gives them an excuse for really removal of anything. Can't review it. Where have we heard those words before? It's can't. Oh, Hunter Biden laptop, right?
That's right.
Smoking crack.
Couldn't confirm it.
Wiener next to M&M's, corruption with his dad.
Could be any president's son.
Yes.
Money from China.
Everyone has Parmesan parties. Come on.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to sit on a board with no qualifications and make millions of dollars.
Yes, and sex with their niece.
Bag of dandruff in the Oval Office.
Here's still funny. We're talking about clown world. People are like, cocaine in the I have no idea. It's like, isn't there someone there who's like most famous for cocaine?
What? No, dude, he's done with that.
That's like delivering a press conference and you just hear in the background like, oh yeah, like who said that? We have no idea.
George Washington lived in a different White House, okay? You got to stop blaming him. Yes. All right? The guy, he was doing what he could to start a nation.
Yes. Here's what it would have looked like yesterday. And of course, all references are available at loudofcredit.com. We put that link in the description with every show. If you were trying to share this story regarding corruption at the DOJ, straight from the horse's mouth, this is what happened if you were on Facebook. Yeah, let's roll this. So you click it, you try and upload it. we added the sound effect for people on audio because,
Oh, man.
And by the way, some other people had experiences, just to be clear, that were even more egregious. Yeah. You go to share.
Oh,
Come on.
it's Billabong shirt.
Freeze!
And Chris Pavlovski, CEO of Rumble, also showed that Facebook was completely stopping users from direct messaging the story. Think about that. You couldn't post it publicly. Hey, Facebook, what's their market value right now? It's 1.something trillion?
$1.3 trillion-ish.
Could you spend a couple grand to have someone verify one URL?
That looks like a lot of other URLs from the same website?
Yep, that you allow.
Yeah.
And many of you, here's the power of you. So many of you flagged this and made an issue out of it that as of this morning, it seems like it's okay. Now it's been verified. You can share it on Facebook. It'll look like this.
Oh, okay.
There you go. And enter it in this morning. So please do. It'll post and it's throttled.
Hey. Oh.
Thank you, KJP.
Oh, nice.
That's the issue that you also don't see. Now, this is very scary. Think about this. This is stopping Americans from having access to information. You may not like the information. You may not like investigative journalism. Of course, the left now doesn't believe in investigative journalism. They think it's underhanded, so they don't do it anymore. They just do, what would you do with John Quinones, where every parent is racist? So, this information, do you think it would affect the American voter if they understood that lawfare was at play, if they understood that there was a weaponization taking place with our intelligence agencies, with our Justice Department? Do you think it would affect the outcome of this election? Well, good thing we have an example of this. Facebook, of course, notoriously censored the Hunter Biden laptop story into the 2020 election, in case you didn't remember this. They said what? They said that they couldn't verify the story. Right? And what that really meant was, we now know, the FBI told them that this may be Russian disinformation. And Facebook said, okay, we can't verify. While the FBI, we know that the FBI knew it was not Russian disinformation. The FBI had verified it and told Facebook, hey, it may be from Russia, so don't verify it. And by the way, keep in mind, this episode was throttled as well, where the Hunter Biden laptop was shown to the American public by Rudy Giuliani for the very first time. Have you seen the pictures?
Who's going to report this guy?
Have you seen the pictures of him with the crack pipe?
John Wright, I have.
Oh, wow. Does he at least look like cool?
Unfortunately, I can't show them to you right now, but this is the hard drive they're on right there.
Gosh. Oh, my word. Now, if it seems like I didn't react with enough enthusiasm, it's because I was watching on a small monitor and I had no idea what was taking place at that moment in time. I thought like, he's showing me that he downloaded something. I didn't know that dressed as a Marty McFly lookalike, that he was going to show for the very first time the most controversial item effectively in the United States at that moment in time. That was the Hunter Biden laptop. The FBI had it, went to Facebook, said, it could be Russian disinformation. And keep in mind, what were the net results of that? 17% of Biden voters said they would have changed their votes if they would have known about the laptop. That changes Arizona, that changes Georgia, that changes Nevada. Think about, you have a different country today if that wasn't actively suppressed. Now, before the FBI works with Facebook, they suppress you. It starts with suppressing you so that the only people who have a voice are those in big tech and those in big government, namely intelligence agencies and the DOJ, and they can work together. 17% of votes would have changed.
And 12% of votes, Biden voters, were dead.
Yes.
Oh, well, allegedly.
Yeah. Now, it all adds up.
By the way, really quickly, I just want to make sure. I've seen some people try to debunk the 17%. Oh, that's MRC. That's this right-leaning. And that's Biden supporters who didn't know about the you dig into the... Cut it in half then. Cut it in a third. Mm-hmm. It still changes the election. You still lose your argument. The sample size isn't big enough. Fine. Make every argument you want that you won't make about other polling, by the way, that shows your candidate favorably when it does. Yeah. It still changes the election.
And that's just one. Again, you've done sit-downs, and we've had him on the show, Dr. Epstein, who's talked about the Google algorithms, the search algorithms, which affect far more than that.
Yes.
If they control, and by they, I mean big tech and big government control information, they can control the outcome for this country. Frankly, it's a miracle that any conservative candidate wins ever when you're fighting against Alphabet, Google, YouTube, Meta, Facebook, Instagram. Now, we were accused. This was considered a conspiracy theory back in the day. We have had entire episodes removed for discussing this. And of course, this channel, if you're watching on YouTube, has been 100% demonetized because of discussing these issues. Only now, Zuckerberg apologized for censoring stories, including the Hunter Biden laptop last week. He said, yep, we did it under pressure.
Sorry.
From the FBI. Sorry, we should have been more prudent. He also acknowledged that the Kamala Biden administration pressured them into censoring COVID content.
Yeah.
Even memes.
And then they do this.
He admitted it. And so here we are today, where we're in the exact same scenario. Hey, the DOJ, and of course you could argue that by extension, knowing what we know, the intelligence agencies, there could be some corruption. There could be lawfare afoot. You decide to share it. A few people. This is a good litmus, by the way, good litmus test for a conspiracy as to whether it's just a theory. Area 51 requires everyone all the way down to the janitor keeping their mouth shut. The Hunter Biden laptop story, that's a conference call with 10 people. With 10 people. It was removed or throttled from, at that point in time, Twitter, Facebook, Meta, who own Instagram. Of course, it was shadow throttled, as we saw on YouTube. Facebook. I don't think it was outright banned. And I'm not entirely sure what they did with the podcast. But for example, Alex Jones was removed from YouTube,
everything,
Facebook, Meta, Twitter, Spotify, Apple in one day. And Jen Psaki, working for the White House, called on Spotify to censor content. That's a conference call with only a handful of people. You don't think that the FBI can be on that call or the DOJ? Well, we know they can't because Mark Zuckerberg admitted it and apologized for it now, but they're still doing it.
Yeah.
When do you get your house in order? This is election season right now, okay? And this is a sprint between now and November 5th. And that's why this is the first of many. They can't ignore it when it's every single week between now and election. You're about to say something, Gerald.
I was going to say, think about the two biggest topics in the media at the time, right? Going back to that. So it was COVID and it was the Biden laptop. And people look at the Biden laptop and say, oh, it's just pictures of him and his niece, and that's really creepy stuff, and it's him doing cocaine. Yeah, all that's true. That's bad enough. But it was also the China money coming into the Biden family. It was the board of bereavement. It was all of the information that was on there, not just damaging pictures. Don't get lost in the weeds on that stuff. It was the corruption of the Biden family, which we're kind of seeing play out. Those are the things that get censored. Those two topics that were on everybody's mind. Right now, what is the biggest topic in the news? Well, I don't know. Look at CNN right now. They're talking about Trump in court, lawfare, the DOJ going after Trump, and that's the thing. Again,
they present it as objective.
Around, it's the biggest topic. It's not just a topic.
Yeah. It's the biggest ones right now at this moment in time. It's the biggest topic, and the biggest piece of news regarding that topic or relating to that topic right now is what you were trying to share yesterday. Yeah. And here's the thing: this is going to continue happening. I want to be very clear with you. They're not going to stop. Half Asian Bill Richmond. That's how we met, because this was happening with me on Facebook, I believe, back in 2016, 20, somewhere around there.
2016. I mean, it is the same consistent story. It was Zuckerberg back then with the contractors who had you on a blacklist, along with the Chris Kyle Foundation, Breitbart, and we're seeing it. And really it gets back to that larger issue, right, is these platforms and their ability to put their thumb on the scale of information. Shocking that we're seeing these statements coming out now, but I think that's the reality is folks have smelled a bad smell for a long time and been told, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And we realize someone shit the bed on truth and being able to allow the American people to judge for themselves. Because let's just compare how Trump's kids were handled versus how Hunter was handled, right? Any little rumor was blasted across like it was true about Ivanka and about all of them, right? Yeah. And Jared and Don Jr., all of them, right? But then with Hunter, it's like no. We have photographic evidence of things those are the foundational evidence of his gun charges, of his tax charges. Yeah. Don't worry about the pictures, like the bad stuff, right? Even the drug use. Just put all of that in the context of crimes that say this is what the family is about. Right. And now they're just like, let's just sweep that under the rug with the other dandruff.
If you were exclusively a New York Times reader, you'd be very confused right now because you'd be hearing that Hunter Biden has pled guilty to tax evasion. You'd be like, whoa, Wait, pled guilty to what? He hasn't done anything wrong because you never heard the initial story.
Right.
Think about that. That's
crazy.
a really good point. It's foundational evidence to the actual crimes that we now know. And the foundational evidence was removed from effectively the world. This is where we do have oligarchs today. We do. Effectively, the big tech oligarchs are the resources. And unfortunately, these intelligence agencies, the federal government is the muscle. Yeah. These big tech oligarchs have the money. They have the ability to throttle information, but the intimidation comes from the FBI, from the CIA, from the DOJ, as Mark Zuckerberg just told you, because they can enforce consequences. It's a very, very scary time. This is going to continue happening, and we can't fight back without you. We appreciate your support, but let me just make the case really quickly here if you are not a member of Mug Club, because what you've seen will cease to be. We can't do it without you. Not a dime of Russian money, surprisingly.
None.
Or even a foreign caliphate. But
didn't even take the call.
It's hard to do these days.
Your support for Mug Club, which is 100% owned by the person you see in this room, okay? You've created the daily show that you watch, including the Mug Club portion that we'll go to take your chats later. The entire Mug Club network. Mug Club has created Change My Mind. Mug Club has created Talking with People. The 3 and 3 podcast, which you guys have been enjoying, and we appreciate it. That's you, Mug Club. Not to mention the investigative journalism, Mug Club Undercover, 100% funded by viewers like you. The Antifa sting, which led to arrests. The Nashville Manifesto, Chippewa Falls, which led to policy changes as it relates to school security and shootings. The Chinese marijuana grow farms from foreign nationals in Oklahoma. We had that story in the United Nations. And of course, this right now, the Department of Justice story. This is all because of you, 100% your membership to Mug Club. Not 15 live reads, no advertising on this channel on YouTube, very, very little advertising. It is funded by viewers like you. Also, Mug Club even created this meme, which, hey. I meant this meme.
So,
and here's something else too. If you haven't clicked that button right now, if we haven't convinced you, and hey, if you're on the fence, let us make our case between now and election. We are leaving nothing for the swim back. But we do ask for your support. It's also created some enemies. The most powerful company on earth, Google, Alphabet, YouTube, of course, Facebook, Meta, been banned from TikTok. Diageo in control of 90% of the world's advertising, demanding that Rumble remove us effectively if they want to be a financially viable business. Think about that. It's not enough when people say, go and build your own YouTube, go and build your own Facebook. Okay, Rumble exists. This show thrives on Rumble outside of YouTube. It's the first show to do it. And then these people, these oligarchs effectively go in and say, no, it's not enough that you guys have gotten off the platforms. It's not our platforms, our rules. It's our internet, our rules. Hey, Rumble, you have to get rid of them. And if Rumble capitulated, you wouldn't have this story. It even includes Dunkin' Donuts. And for laughs, Media Matters, just because no one cares, but it's funny. They have someone dedicated full-time who's a Mug Club member. So
Hi.
You can use the promo code right now, lawfare. You get $20 off. You can click that link if you're watching on Rumble, or go to louderwithcredit.com/mugclub, because all of this is because of you. And we really try and earn it every day. I tell everyone here, look, when you do a show, when you create a new piece, assume that person has never seen you before. You have to earn not only the trust, but you have to earn their right to tune in and watch, because there's so much out there these days. You can tune in wherever you want. And I know that you have tip jar fatigue. And that's why not only on election night, where on election night we are gearing up for the election live stream of the century, November 2024, we are going to have investigative journalists, some of the people who've done some of these pieces in major cities, in every major swing state across the country. We are actually going to this time have the ability to look at real-time data and help call states and dispute states that are being called. And you will have the live electoral integrity map where if something is happening, some shenanigans, you go to the electoral integrity map, there'll be a box, you click it, opens up, and you can see the reporting in real time so that then you can go out and amplify it. So the media doesn't just memory hole Pelican cases of ballots in the middle of the night in Atlanta when they claim that a pipe burst. So they can't just memory hole Bristol boards going up over voting precincts in Detroit, or at 2 or 3 a.m. red wagons coming in with ballots. I'm sorry, they said camera equipment.
Camera gear, yes.
If there are enough of you in real time who get it out on election night, that's what this is for. The resources that have never been available online, they can't erase it all. They can't stop us all. And that's why leading up to it, we know they're going to try and shoot the messenger every week between now and election. You've seen it with big tech. You've seen it with intelligence agencies. Do you feel free Or are you seeing this in real time, the stealing of a nation? This is all the culmination of months of tireless work here from the Mug Club Undercover Unit.
And the definition of a felony.
For you and not want him.
We are terrified.
Before he decided to prosecute Trump, did you know who he was? You do now. You know, it's a perversion of justice.
And I know what you're thinking. I've already seen that. Well, it's really hard to do a teaser when you're not allowed to tease what's coming.
I know, it's kind of
because otherwise it's hard to stay undercover.
By the way, there's more to come.
Yes,
we are not yet
much
done
more
fighting. By the way, I just really quickly, I love it when I see people that join Mug Club. By the way, if you join Mug Club, tag us on Twitter at @SCrowder, at @GMorgan Jr. Tag us, let us know. X, Twitter,
Dummy.
whatever. They know it by both.
Your stripper
Twitter,
name.
X. I don't have a stripper name. Let's not do that right now. What
he likes to be seen.
What I want to show you though is actually
Stripper who shall not be named.
Yes.
Somebody already did reach out to us and let us know that they signed up for Mug Club using promo code Lawfare. There we go. Fantastic.
They Photoshop.
And now he's a good guy again.
There you go.
Yeah,
All
you should
right, good job.
probably
And by the
stockpile
way,
some of that
let me
money, buddy.
Let me just take a second and just a shout out to our undercover team, or the Mug Club Undercover Unit. Those guys have been killing it lately. It takes dozens of people to get stuff like this to you guys, and it takes so much work late into the night every single night.
And it takes millions of dollars between
Yes.
now and election. Millions
Absolutely.
of dollars.
So doing a great job. Keep it up. We are not done yet.
Yeah. It's still a fraction of Brian Stelter's salary, who, by the way, is back at CNN.
Really?
I just heard that. He's gay!
You didn't hear the harmony before?
No, I didn't hear that. He's gay!
Hey, how about when I tried to do the lawfare, but then it said we don't accept money from foreign nationals.
Oh, no.
Good.
Bill Tennant be a good name for you.
Bill, VPN.
I'm only half China.
Dang it.
Careful, they're going to fact check this. I'm like, we can't allow this on social media.
How much is Stelter getting paid? Do you know? Did they say?
Whatever it is, that's too much.
It's too much? Yeah. Okay.
47 pizzas a day.
Research says 10 mil.
What?
10 million?
Are you?
Well,
that's
wait.
A lot of nuts!
Brian Stelter getting $10 million?
No.
Are you kidding me?
Really? He's getting $10 million?
No, he's getting $10 million to be on or to stay away.
So, guys, join Mug Club, because I said millions of dollars. Like, I know people get sticker shock, but that's what it costs. A salary of $10 million for anyone at CNN. Kill yourself, figuratively. So.
Oh, he's not talking about Brian Stelter. It was something separate from that.
Okay, I do know that Brian Stelter was being paid too much.
Well, and you know what? One thing, because I think people are going to ask this question right now. The Lauren Chen thing. We've mentioned this. We've talked about that story before. It looks really bad, right? It looks really bad, but that's what it is right now. It looks really bad. Before she's ever been convicted of anything,
right?
Fired. Big Tech's removed her already, and I'm not saying that
they've removed her completely.
Yeah. The tenants page, her personal pages on YouTube, and all that stuff.
Personal pages are removed.
She's
on X,
just
right?
with an allegation.
She's on X.
Now,
yeah.
look, I understand, and I'm defending. Even if I disagree with somebody, I can still say that's not how this is supposed to work.
No, I don't think Blaze should have fired her over allegations, and I don't think certainly Big Tech shouldn't remove her personal profiles.
Right. And that doesn't defend actions, because I don't know what those are yet, but that's the kind of country we have. We wait until those things are proven. It looks bad, yes, fine. Well, it hasn't been proven yet.
And I believe we'll have Tim Pool on the show next week to talk about this quite a bit. Look, it's not so much a story about Russian disinformation as it is financial fraud. If the allegations are even remotely true, that does seem to be true, financial fraud, because there were a lot of people who didn't know the true nature of the finances. You create fake aliases and you lie to people about someone who doesn't even exist.
Well, that's true. Then
if that's true, that's a problem. It doesn't mean that there was one unified message that was Russian propaganda, because if you look at some of the people who were creating content, they didn't even share the same opinions. But if someone at the top was lying to them about the funding, that is a separate issue. So hopefully that frames it in a way that's objective, but they shouldn't be firing someone based on allegations.
No, and I mean that's like when the UK.
It's like you don't fire Stelter because he's gay.
Right. That's when the UK reached
Can't
out.
prove it. He's married
and told everybody
he likes brunch.
And his wife's hot bod.
Yeah.
You know, with Russell Brand, the UK reached out to Rumble and said, you can't let this guy make any money just on charges. And we all were up in arms. Like, we have to be up in arms over the issue, not necessarily the person or the facts. Like, we don't have those yet. We have charges. That's it.
Right. Well, I can disclose I was offered to work for Tenet Media.
Were you?
Yeah. I said no, and they were mad.
But I thought I signed that contract.
Oh, jeez.
He signed it in Russian.
Yeah, look, I can look again. I try and be. I have to be objective. Every single person involved has been on this show at one point or another. Okay, and yes, there was a call placed to saying like, "Hey, we'd like to hire you here," and it seemed fishy at the time. Enough for me to say no. Also, because it's been pretty important for me to maintain ownership, so that you always. Here's the thing: you owe in this industry. If you take money, if someone else is giving, you owe. That's just the nature of it, right? If you're a business, you owe the customer. I would much rather owe you. If you have to serve a master, of course, your first and only master should be God. But if you have to serve somebody, more so than even shareholders, but certainly investors, donors who have their own opinions, or people who can then guide the content, I would much rather be beholden to you. And that's how this is designed. Could we have made more money? Sure we could. But this would suck. The content would suck, and we wouldn't actually be able to serve you. I'm very grateful. As exhausting as it can be, it's much more difficult to remain independent, to kind of be an island. I'd much rather be in service of you than Gregorian or whatever his name was. It's really weird that they picked a fake name that sounded like Game of Thrones.
It did, yeah.
Gregorian chant. I mean, that's weird. That's not what it is.
I don't know.
Just like moaning.
What was that?
That was the Gregorian chant.
No, it's not.
No, I believe that. He sounded like he knew it.
That's what I imagine those stone heads would sound like if they talked.
Oh, the Easter Island ones? Oh, yeah.
I don't know why they're doing the Hanson song.
Stop it right now.
Instant drop in followers.
I hate it.
Just
Yeah.
out.
And a bird. All right.
Oh, gee. I hate all of you.
Let's go back to big tech because they're evil. So Gerald did, and this is a little bit of a recap of what you just saw, but there are also some funny. I want to make a point.
Why does it
here.
always happen to me?
Oh, shut up, X. Now, the reason this is funny to me is because, you know, I did at one point work just as a contributor to Fox News when I was young, before Mug Club. I was just a comedian and would contribute to Fox News. I've worked at other companies, of course, and if you ever perform at comedy clubs, right, you're effectively, sometimes you have to cater to them. It's just, it's one of those instances where I used to have to do radio shows a lot, and if I would appear on cable, it used to be a kind of a cat and mouse game of the FCC, right? You can say this, you can't say that. And you'd have people get a little upset, you know, back in the day, Opie and Anthony and Howard Stern, it was kind of this sort of friendly rivalry, but the censorship was coming from the FCC, and at least you knew where it was coming from. And we thought, hey, once we go to, they went to satellite radio. The internet, hey, the censors are gone, only now it's so much worse, and censorship has been crowdsourced, where now you have comedians who work entirely blue editing out the word butt on their Instagram reels.
Nipple.
Yeah, the word nipple. And not to mention, of course, political points of view. And so that's the problem with crowdsourcing censorship. You have people who can now go, I don't like this point of view, community guideline, or some kind of a, what was it? A community note, sorry. Community guideline is YouTube. We're going to post a community note, which could result, depending on the platform, in throttling. At least you had some kind of reasonable expectation of the censors. That's what's so perverse about quote unquote cancel culture. Is now you have a bunch of people who've been given the power of the FCC, and they're not just saying you can't say something scatological, they're saying you can't say something that we disagree with. So we talked about big tech themselves, Meta, Facebook, actively censoring content, but even on X, this video from Gerald pointing out the censorship was then met with community notes. I just think it's funny, but here was the video.
A lot of you haven't, and you've been reaching out to us and saying, hey, I'm trying to share this story, I'm trying to get this out on Facebook, and they're not letting me share this. So we went and tried it ourselves. Guess what? Facebook is back in the business of making sure you do not see information that pertains to the election and Donald Trump. They are keeping you, just like they did from the Hunter Biden laptop story, they are keeping
Pretty tame
you
video,
from
Gerald.
understanding the truth
Could have used a
about
microphone.
this election and the stakes and the impact that this is going to have on our country. A week after we had Mark Zuckerberg come out and say that he regretted doing those things, and yet he's back up to his old tricks again. What are we to believe, Mark? You don't want people to see this. You don't want people to be able to share it. You don't want people to be able to see that Donald Trump is being targeted and that he is not a felon.
And then certain X-users hit that video with a community note.
It was not nice.
The proposed note was context needed, a private company determining what information they want their consumers to see or advertisers to support is not impeding someone's ability to vote, which is election interference. No citizen is obligated to pass forward anything they are handed as per the First Amendment. So you know that a liberal proposed this because
Source,
it's bullshit.
Wikipedia.
Yes.
They said it with a little bit of sass.
By the way,
There's a lot of sass.
Do me a favor and scroll up just a little bit so I can read the last, right, just for that quote right there. I just want to read the last part. Is not impeding someone's ability to vote. So you think election interference is me parking my car in front of them as they walk to the ballot box, you moron? What I'm saying is you're trying to get somebody to go and vote a different way. You're trying to interfere with their ability to make a reasoned decision by what you allow them to see. Yeah. Idiots.
Yes.
They think the only form of election interference is requiring an ID.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Well, it's racist.
That's their version.
And this is the tired old argument. You know, I used to be a libertarian too, back when I really cared about weed, even though I didn't use it. Then I realized, hold on a second. We are already at the point of censorship. We are already at the point of the First Amendment being violated because, especially now, we know that big tech acts as an arm, a strong arm of government. Let me be really clear about this too. Per Section 230, platforms like Facebook, okay, they're allowed to moderate content, and this is Half Asian Bill Richmond's wheelhouse, but based on very specific parameters as to not be a violation of the First Amendment. Let me give you some quotes here. Any action voluntarily taken in good faith to restrict access to or availability of material that the provider or user considers to be obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessively violent, harassing, or otherwise objectionable. It does not include outright censoring political viewpoints, and certainly not Gerald's commentary therein pointing out seeming collusion between Meta and the government or the DOJ.
I'm sorry.
That would be a violation.
Not collusion. Just a mistake again that goes in one direction. A mistake that was we corrected it the next day. Oh, by the way, here's another example of a mistake. Pull this up, this side by side. J.D. Vance says school shootings are a fact of life. Calls for better security. 2.2 million views. What he actually said is he laments that this is a fact of life. I'm not even kidding. This is from the AP saying that. The post that he put up that corrected it. 100,000 views.
Exactly.
2.2 million views on the lie, which everybody ran with. By the way, I don't know if you saw that on JD Vance.
A lie by omission.
JD Vance says this is just a fact of life and we're going to have to get used to it, right? And they're campaigning on that. I guarantee you an email went out from everybody asking for money for the Kamala Harris campaign because JD Vance said it's a fact of life for school shootings. They come back and go, oops, 100,000 views.
Also, by the way, I wasn't that upset. Do you know why? It is a fact of life. We just lived through a school shooting.
Yeah.
They happened. You know what else is a fact of life? Rape, violence, murder, because it's a fact of human nature, and so we try and mitigate it through a system of laws.
Not school shootings. We don't protect our schools. We just yell about guns.
Well, that's true. Kamala Harris voted against having, I believe, or was actively campaigning against having armed guards.
That's true. Has an AR-15 ever been convicted of a crime? I don't know if we've actually.
I'm not entirely sure. We do have a lawyer here.
Not yet.
No. But
Okay.
I will say I did get a call when Gerald did that video.
Yeah.
And Facebook, the lawyers asked me if I thought that Gerald was lewd, and I did agree.
Yes.
So that might have been my fault.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I'm a
I think
stripper.
everything
I'm
that
not.
Gerald does is obscene.
Yes.
What?
It's why we didn't include the sex tape that he included at the end of that clip.
Right. I mean, no, but actually, that part they thought would be informative.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was excessively violent
We
against
thought it had
Gerald.
scientific merit on micropenis.
Yeah, it's just these definitions are really hard.
Yes.
You know, they're really hard.
It's just like this. The AP is supposed to be trustworthy. He says, "I don't like that this is a fact of life," and you truncate that quote down to "it is a fact of life."
Well, let's just walk this through, and I want to get to Section 230 with Bill. But but I want to walk this through. So the counter. It's like if he didn't say, "I lament that it's a fact of life," but he said, "Hey, you know, school shootings right now are a fact of life." Okay. The counter argument would have to be, "It's not a fact of life to me." Okay, Kamala Harris, look behind you. There was a school shooting. It's now a fact of life. What are you going to do about it?
Right. And here's what she wanted to do about it in 2019 until she flip-flops on a position. She wants to remove cops from schools to fight racial inequalities.
No, inequities.
Inequities. And that's a different word.
It's a different word.
Admonish me if you need to.
Way
I don't
worse.
Think you need to. I don't think that's an admonish. Oh, Tim.
Fighting inequality, good. Fighting inequity, it doesn't mean anything.
Fine.
But, Bill, people talk about this quite a bit, like Section 230. Like, well, it's not a violation of the First Amendment for a private company. And they used to say that quite a bit. I think a lot of people have had their eyes opened. But certainly after the last month where Diageo went to Rumble and said, even if it's off of YouTube now, we're going to guarantee that you can't make money unless you remove these voices. Is it just a private company issue when they're talking about something like this, the First Amendment?
It isn't. So there's two different aspects of it. One, you've got Section 230 and its limited scope, but how it's been broadened over and over and over again by the courts, particularly California's Ninth Circuit that covers the West Coast on the federal side. But the bigger issue here is that as a matter of just simple law, it's a fraudulent issue, right? The question of, are you being able to gather all of these people, say that your platform is open, that you're enforcing these rules in the right way, when really you're not. You've got these shadow algorithms, you've got the shadow banning that's occurring, you're putting your thumb on the scale, as Mark Zuckerberg has said, at the request of the government, right? When the government is making those kinds of requests, that is directly implicating a First Amendment issue, even if you have private fraud that's occurring when companies say, yeah, bring all your opinions, bring your tired, your poor, your opinions, and we'll all discuss them. And they're like, but not these ones.
Right.
Nope, nope, not that one. That one is too dangerous to disprove. Right. I mean, because that's what they're saying. That we cannot even have a healthy discussion around this thing, because we've seen everyone has made, every media outlet has had to make a retraction or clarify a story or do something. But I think the J.D. Vance example is one where there's an active twisting of the words that are occurring. And when you allow that to naturally come up, maybe you're not even boosting it, right? But by suppressing everything else, you have changed the landscape of the information that's occurring and prevented people from evaluating the media and taking it with a grain of salt, and thus being able to truly participate.
Yeah. You're absolutely. Well, people often point to the example of trying to say you're a hypocrite, conservatives. Remember, what about the gay wedding, the baker, huh? You didn't want them to have to bake a cake. Well, now you want to force Facebook, or you want to force Google, YouTube. Okay, hold on a second. Let me give you a better comparison, because what happened is there's also a story with a pizzeria back then, but you had a baker or a bakery who said, well, it's a violation of our religious conscience. We will bake you a cake if they're gay. We have no problem. We baked plenty of cakes for people who are gay, lesbian, but we don't want to bake a cake for a gay wedding because that violates our religious conscience. Here's a list of other bakeries that could serve you. Okay. People say that it's inconsistent for conservatives to say that business shouldn't have to violate their conscience. All right. Here's what's happened with Facebook, Meta, Google. All right. We won't bake your cake because you're gay. We're the only bakery in town. Oh, wait, another bakery's trying to open up, Rumble Bakery. Hey, hold on a second. No. Don't allow them. Don't allow them at your bakery, or we'll make sure that your business is shut down. That's the analogy. Starting to get the picture?
Yeah. By the way, we do have a picture of Chris Pavlovski when everybody comes to him, the advertising 90% and, the governments around the world, the UK, France, and Brazil. This is why he can stand up to those guys pretty well. So.
Very nice. Very nice. Chris Pavlovski don't care. Now, Zuckerberg
got wings too.
I don't know why I wanted to use that.
I always love that picture.
Yeah, Gerald produced that one.
It was the first. It was the first mass
Gerald produced
forward.
Gerald has a fat head of that on his wall in his bedroom.
We love you, Chris.
He also has a bobblehead in his drawer, but it's not the head.
Oh,
whoa!
Ooh.
It's like one of those.
A bobble bottom?
Whatever those things are called.
It's just a thing.
You know, thing the balls that go.
No, I understand.
Yeah, it's like a scientific thing.
Newton's cradle.
Newton's cradle.
Newton's
See,
cradle.
I was right. Scientific.
Gray
Billy
squirrel?
say that?
Was that a
That
gray
is the
squirrel?
last person in the room that I thought
Was that a squirrel, or was it? I was thinking of honey badger. I don't know.
Or a lemur?
That was a squirrel.
That was a flying squirrel.
With
I think. It had
elephantitis
wings.
of the balls. Come on, show some respect.
You sure know a lot about elephantitis of the balls.
It's hilarious when a squirrel has giant nuts.
It's not that funny.
It's kind of normal, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of normal.
I really need some comments on this. Someone's got a comment. I need to know.
Okay, fine. There was another one from. There was another. Do you like this one better? Is that better?
Yeah,
that one works.
great.
Son of a gun.
Yeah, but can you send another picture to Bill?
Yes,
for later.
These are the photos that don't come to me before they're aired. Yes,
exactly. Chris is suing us. He's like, accurate representation, but I don't like it.
Yeah, Chris. I just texted Chris. I was like, "Yep, this is lewd."
Yeah.
I think my point is being proven.
Yes,
as we sit here.
It's lascivious.
Somebody clip that and get it to Chris.
So Zuckerberg did admit, by the way, that the White House and FBI officials, just to be clear, I want to reiterate this. When people say First Amendment, private company, Zuckerberg admitted the White House FBI officials reached out and specifically requested Facebook censor content relating to COVID, relating to the Hunter Biden laptop. But that's not the only time it's happened. Other examples, of course, you have the Twitter files. That has taken place, and Elon shined a light on that. Joe Rogan on Spotify, when you had Jen Psaki asking for them to moderate content. You had the Great Barrington Declaration, right? This was censored during COVID, and doctors who came out. The Vox Adpocalypse, where since we didn't violate any community guidelines, Google, YouTube, the Alphabet, I was about to say network Alphabet, they own Google and YouTube. By the way, those two are one and the same. You may not know that. A lot of people don't. Sometimes we're too close to it to realize that a lot of people think they're two separate entities.
No.
They decided if you don't violate the guidelines, we won't remove you, we'll demonetize you, and as a byproduct, of course, your channel will be completely throttled. This has been going on for a very long period of time, and we know that the government is working directly with them. But don't take my word for it. First Amendment?
Our hope is that all major tech platforms and all major news sources, for that matter, be responsible and be vigilant to ensure the American people have access to accurate information on something as significant as COVID-19. That certainly includes Spotify.
That, again, is another trap, because when you talk about the Great Barrington Declaration, what they say in there and then what is implied are two different things. Let everybody get infected that's going to be able to be getting infected, and then we'll have herd immunity. Quite frankly, that is nonsense.
Enter the Twitter files. Over the past few weeks, journalists picked by Elon Musk have been given access to some of Twitter's internal systems and communications. Matt Taibbi is one of them.
They have a whole universe of stuff that they can do to any single account. They can dial it all the way down to you cannot be searched, all the way up to your account will not trend.
Nina, do you think the Disinformation Board was the victim of, in fact, misinformation given the backlash it saw?
Actually, Jamie, I would say that the Disinformation Governance Board was the victim of disinformation.
So we have a higher standard for monetization. So then we did announce the monetization change that Steven Crowder his monetization.
So was that in reaction to people reacting to you not reacting, or was that something that you were already planning to do and just hadn't got around to announcing?
No, we were in the process of looking at that.
YouTube dragged its feet before taking any action against conservative commentator Steven Crowder, despite being informed of Crowder's 2-year homophobic harassment campaign against journalist Carla Maza.
Time you shut your cake hole, Yoko!
Good. Very choice.
Stephen, you would never say that to my mom to her face.
No, I would not.
Just behind her back.
I'm too busy engaging in homophobic harassment.
I mean, she's too short to actually hit you in the face, but yeah.
Homophobic harassment.
And it was longer than 2 years.
Yes, it was significantly longer than 2 years.
I mean, come on. And it's Carlos, not Carla, but I guess today that's...
Well, she was harassing a homo.
That's right. She dead named him.
Yeah, she did.
I don't know.
I don't know the rules anymore. And by the way, if you're not paying attention yet, please, I hope that you are. And if you are not convinced as to where your dollar goes here with Mug Club, and if these pieces that you've seen are not enough, stay tuned. Every week between now and election, you can click that button right now. None of it happens without you. Mug Club, we welcome your support. We are here every day. Well, weekdays, I should say, not on weekends. 10 a.m. Eastern. And actually, in good news, before we're going to take a Mug Club chat in a little bit, I know we have a lot of new members, and we don't have an update from Merchant yet, or Donald Trump's
Not yet. There was no specific
press
time
conference.
that he was supposed to come out with his ruling, but people expected it to be this morning.
Right.
So press conference from Donald Trump is still set for 12 Eastern.
Well, it's a good time because pressure's on.
Yeah.
And it seems like the tides are changing or turning quite a bit. Nate Silver, who now the left hates, even though they loved him for a long time, he now changed, I believe last night, the chances at winning the election. Trump is now at 60% and Kamala is at 40%.